Be well assured then, Trypho, that I am established in the knowledge of and faith in the Scriptures by those counterfeits which he who is called the devil is said to have performed among the Greeks. Just as some were wrought by the Magi in Egypt, and others by the false prophets in Elijah's days. For when they tell that Bacchus, son of Jupiter, was begotten by Jupiter's intercourse with Semele, and that he was the discoverer of the vine, and when they relate that being torn in pieces, and having died, he rose again, and ascended to heaven. And when they introduce wine into his mysteries, do I not perceive that the devil has imitated the prophecy announced by the patriarch Jacob, and recorded by Moses? And when they tell that Hercules was strong, and traveled over all the world, and was begotten by Jove of Alcmene, and ascended to heaven when he died, do I not perceive that the Scripture which speaks of Christ, strong as a giant to run his race, has been in like manner imitated? And when he, the devil, brings forward Aesculapius as the raiser of the dead and healer of all diseases, may I not say that in this matter likewise he has imitated the prophecies about Christ? But since I have not quoted to you such Scripture as tells that Christ will do these things, I must necessarily remind you of one such, from which you can understand how that to those destitute of a knowledge of God, I mean the Gentiles, who, having eyes, saw not, and having a heart, understood not, worshipping the images of wood, how even to them Scripture prophesied that they would renounce these vanities, and hope in this Christ. It is thus written, Rejoice, thirsty wilderness, let the wilderness be glad, and blossom as the lily. The deserts of the Jordan shall both blossom and be glad, and the glory of Lebanon was given to it, and the honor of Carmel. And my people shall see the exaltation of the Lord, and the glory of God. Be strong, you careless hands and enfeebled knees. Be comforted, you faint in soul. Be strong, fear not. Behold, our God gives and will give retributive judgment. He shall come and save us. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall hear. Then the lame shall leap as an hart, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be distinct. For water has broken forth in the wilderness, and a valley in the thirsty land. And the parched ground shall become pools, and a spring of water shall rise up in the thirsty land. The spring of living water which gushed forth from God in the land destitute of the knowledge of God, namely the land of the Gentiles, was this Christ, who also appeared in your nation and healed those who were maimed and deaf and lame in body from their birth, causing them to leap, to hear, and to see by his word. And having raised the dead and causing them to live by his deeds, he compelled the men who lived at that time to recognize him. But though they saw such works, they asserted it was magical art, for they dared to call him a magician and a deceiver of the people. Yet he wrought such works and persuaded those who were destined to believe in him. For even if anyone be laboring under a defect of body, yet be an observer of the doctrines delivered by him, he shall raise him up at his second advent perfectly sound, after he has made him immortal and incorruptible and free from grief.